You know, the shame of it is, I tend to believe that the airline industry is very close to being completely on its arse. It's not only the airlines, it's the caterers, the people like me who take people to the airports, the independent travel agents, and the list goes on and on and on and on. When are this fucking government going to give us some clear messaging and direction and tell us what the hell is going on? How do everybody? Welcome back to the channel and the car for the last thing on a Monday. Hope your day's gone all right. Well, we've got to be realistic, couldn't we, about airline travel, holidays and everything else, and also the impact it's having on the industry as a whole. We are fucked. Nobody's going anywhere. It's being made as complicated as possible. Things are getting cancelled left, right and centre. I even got somebody sending me a message somewhere the other day saying that some of this is coming directly from government. I sent in a couple of requests here and there to see if I can find out any more about that, and I'll let you know if and when I find out anything else. But in the meantime, we're all screwed, and it's not only the airlines and the passengers that are affected by it, it's also all the support services as well. You look at me, for example. 2017 I started my business, and in January 2022 I'll be 5 years old. 2019 was an absolutely bumper year. I think our turnover was something like 150 grand, probably getting nearer 200 to be honest, and I really was optimistic that we'd go further than that in 2020. Obviously March came and we all got screwed over royally. All the bookings got cancelled. An independent travel agent I work with had all her bookings cancelled, and all hell breaks loose, and she's now a teaching assistant in a fucking primary school. Get that? Not what she wanted to do. Meanwhile, I've got a book of customers, a family to support, and nothing's happening. And I'm not the only one. There are various other airport businesses out there doing the same. I've come to the conclusion that maybe some kind of joint action is needed. One voice isn't going to be enough, it'll have to be multiple voices, but somebody has to be held to account for this mess, because their indecision and their duplicity with this whole thing has caused businesses to fold and be on the verge of ruin. No more, no less. Now, Theresa May, the best Prime Minister we ever had, I get my tongue out my cheek, I had to get that one in, a bit like the Gordon Brown one the other day. I thought, you know, as a Prime Minister she was pretty bloody useless, but she did a speech in Parliament the other day regarding travel, and I have to admit I find it very hard to disagree with anything she said. Listen to this, it's about 3 minutes long, but she hits the nail on the head several times in fact.
This is a disappointing debate. Disappointing because 1 year and 1 week ago, this very issue was raised in this House. The minister at the dispatch box, it was a different minister at the time, but the minister at the dispatch box promised me that the government was working hard across the sector to get internationally agreed standard health measures in place. 1 year on, we are no further forward. Indeed, what we have is a devastated industry, jobs lost, and global Britain shut for business. More than not being any further forward, we've gone backwards. We now have over 50% of the adult population vaccinated, a wonderful programme, yet we're more restricted on travel than we were last year. Last year in 2020, I went to Switzerland in August, South Korea in September. There was no vaccine, travel was possible. This year there is a vaccine, travel is not possible. I really don't understand the stance the government is taking. Of course, it is permissible to travel to countries on the amber list, provided it's practicable for you to quarantine when you come back. But government ministers tell people that they mustn't travel. They can't go on holiday to places on the amber list. The messaging is mixed and the system chaotic. Portugal was put on the green list, people went to the football, then Portugal was put on the amber list, leaving holidaymakers scrabbling for flights, and devastated families having to cancel their plans. Not to mention the impact on the airlines, on travel agents here, and on the travel industry, the tourist industry, in our longest standing trading partner in Europe. Business travel is practically impossible. Global Britain has shut its doors to business and investors. In the normal year pre-pandemic, Passengers through Heathrow spent £16 billion across our country, including at places like Legoland Windsor, which is partly in my constituency. That has been lost. I think there are some facts that the government needs to be upfront with the British people and that ministers need to think a bit more of when they're making these decisions. First, we will not eradicate COVID-19 from the UK. There will not be a time when we can say that there will never be another case of COVID-19 in this country. Secondly, variants will keep on coming. There will be new variants every year. If the government's position is that we cannot open up travel until there are no new variants elsewhere in the world, then we will never be able to travel abroad ever again. And the third fact that the government needs to state much more clearly is that sadly people will die from COVID here in the UK in the future, as 10 to 20,000 people do every year from flu. And we are falling behind the rest of Europe in our decisions to open up, as my right honourable friend, the member for Altrincham and Sale West, has indicated. The government may say all it has as the minister has about the importance of the aviation industry, but it needs to decide whether it wants an airline industry and aviation sector in the UK or not, because at the rates it's going, it won't have one. Certainly not as a key sector in the economy as it was pre-pandemic. It's incomprehensible, I think, that one of the most heavily vaccinated countries in the world is one that is most reluctant to give its citizens the freedoms those vaccinations should support.
What is it, Boris? Do you want a situation where there is literally zero COVID in this country? Because if you do, as Theresa May said, no one will travel anywhere ever again. There's even talk of airlines saying that if you've had the 2 pricks, they're not going to let you travel because they're worried about blood clots. The whole thing's a fucking mess. So you have to decide what it's going to be. My own personal theory is they want everybody here spending the furlough money to put the money back into the British economy, and there's other political bollocks going on, as there always is. But meanwhile, businesses are getting ruined, and I think it's about time that you put your hand in your pocket and went a bit further than universal fucking credit, to be quite honest. Absolutely ludicrous. By the way, I hope you enjoyed your time in the G7 summit, hugging Monsieur Macron, eating pasties and socially distancing from absolutely no one. Have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow with more videos. This is a Cabby signing off.